If you're an 80s and 90s kid like me, or you're just a tabletop role player who enjoys crossing the streams, you may be familiar with the wild and wacky worlds of the Palladium system. Today, we're going to dive into a character I created for Heroes Unlimited, showcasing what I love and what I don't love about Palladium RPGs. Palladium Books, often mistakenly referred to as Palladium Games or just Palladium, was founded in 1981 by Kevin Siembeta. Perhaps its most well-known property is Rips, which has spun several of world books, adventures, miniatures, even video games, and has purportedly been optioned by Hollywood for movies and series. My introduction to the Palladium system was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, published in 1985. This was actually the first role-playing game I ever played. It led me down the path to Dungeons & Dragons, Rollmaster, Shadowrun, Vampire the Masquerade, and hundreds of other games since then. In a way, I suppose Kevin and his team can be blamed for the upstanding nerd I am today. And if you want to hear and see more rants about my decades-long passion of TTRPGs, comics, and all sorts of geekdom, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and check out the description below for on where else to find me online. Palladium system is known for showcasing a wide variety of games, not just riffs. The Palladium Fantasy RPG, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Beyond the Supernatural, Robotech, Heroes Unlimited, Ninjas and Superspies, Nightbane, Recon, etc. The games use the same rules, the same system, but all feature different settings, focus on different types of characters, and overall are made to encompass specific genres. Because they all use the same system, they are easy to mix together, and a lot of that is seen in the Rift setting, which is a far future Earth setting recovering from cataclysm and besieged by interdimensional rifts. They cross time and space, easily allowing all manner of beings to exist in a single setting. There are humans serving an empire. Atlantis has returned, aliens have found a home here, so have dragons and elves. Technology melds with magic in the form of cyberknights and techno-wizards. Giant mecha patrol war-torn wastelands. A nation of vampires exists down south, and so much more. This epic mixing of chocolate and peanut butter is what calls many to the setting. For me, however, what it did was give me express permission to mix things into my own setting. Heroes Unlimited is the comic book genre role-playing game for Palladium, and comic books often include time travel, multiverses, a mixing of genres. That is where the character I created came from. I'm not going to walk you through every step of how I created this character, how to build a character from scratch, but I'll show you how I built this specific character. Then we're going to have a chat about it and how it exemplifies both what I love and hate about Palladium, why I want to play it oh so much, but also dread wading back into that game. This is actually a character I created 15 or 20 years ago for a Heroes Unlimited game a friend was running. It was going to be in our own homebrew superhero comic book setting, and the gloves were off. We were allowed to use any Palladium book we could get our hands on, including published copies of Ripter, Palladium's own quarterly magazine. We also bent or even broke some of the rules during character creation. This was partially because we were kids who didn't fully read anything, and partially because, well, we wanted to. Some of that is carried over here in this recreation, and I'll call those parts out. So without further delay, meet Samuel Lorsong. To build Samuel, you need access to 4 different books: Heroes Unlimited, the Rift's Conversion Book, Ninjas and Superspies, and Mystic China. Now, I will not be showing the book interiors because Palladium has a thing about rigorously protecting their IP, and we'll chat more about that shortly. For now, pick up and peruse your own copy or grab one from the links I share below. Now, those are affiliate links, so I'll get a little bit of a kickback, but you won't be paying anything extra. Those 4 books in our arsenal, let's build out Samuel Lorsong, aka Night Edge. First, from the Rips conversion book, look up the section on Palladium races in Rips and flip to the section on elves. You'll see here that there are some slight adjustments to rolling attributes and some bonuses, including night vision, bonus attacks with a bow and arrow, and some bonus skills. Right off the bat, we're going to break some rules. Something we honestly didn't know when I was building out this character originally was that as your race changed the attributes you roll, it changed a little bit more than we realized. Typically, for Palladium characters' attributes, you would roll 3d6 or 3 6-sided dice and add the results together. If you scored a 16, 17, or 18, you could roll a bonus d6 and add that to the result. The rules, though, are actually explained elsewhere that if you already get a bonus, the chance for the bonus d6 is removed. So in this case here, where elves get a 3d6 plus 1 to their IQ, or 4d6 to physical prowess, they don't get that potential extra d6. Even once we figured that out, we threw the rule out the window. If you've got to roll 3d6 or more, we would roll the 3d6, and if we got a 16 or higher, we'd roll the bonus d6, and then we would add whatever bonus existed beyond the normal 3d6 we would roll. With that out of the way, we're done with the Rift's conversion book. Go ahead, toss that to the side, we're done with that. Now next we're going to take a peek at Ninjas and Superspies. We don't need a lot from this book, but toward the back there is a section for using the martial arts from Ninjas and Superspies with other Palladium games. We're going for the rules on what changes you need to make for your character to get access to the unique martial arts. Got it? Good. Set Ninjas and Superspies to the side. We will need it again later before we're all done. Next, let's bring out Heroes Unlimited. This is going to be where we do most of the rest of the character creation, and we're going to make the character a hardware weapons expert character. Now, from the last book we looked at, Ninjas and Superspies, we know we are going to have to give up either 2 physical skills or 4 secondary skills to get access to that unique martial art, which we're definitely going to be doing. From here, I begin copying down important information from the hardware power category and weapons expert specialty under that. We'll handle the skills portion of the character next. But for now, being a hardware weapons expert gives me access to numerous weapon proficiencies, some skills with bonuses, as well as some special bonuses and skills available only to this power category specialty. Mind you, in other Palladium RPGs, this is often referred to as the OCC, or Occupational Character Class. These special bonuses include the unique Make and Modify weapon skill, which, because the character is a weapons expert, can actually be raised above 98%. And even above 100%. In Palladium, your character skills are capped at 98%, even speaking your native language, because there is always a chance for failure. And trust me, I do enough of these recordings that, yeah, you can get tongue-tied and screw up how to talk a lot. Now, with that part done, I go to skills and education. That's earlier in the book, and to make this character reality, I need to choose the Master's Degree program. The rules state you can either roll for a random education level or choose a specific one, depending on what your goals are for the character. Sometimes random can be fun, but sometimes you need a bit more control if you have a clear picture of the character you want to create. We're still perfectly within the rules here to select the Master's Degree educational level, which gives a number of skill programs with bonuses and some secondary skills. Off the bat, one of those skill programs is going to be the physical skills program, so I can beef up this character's physical abilities a bit. One rule that we have always debated is whether the character's scholastic bonus from educational level should be added to the skills gained from the character's OCC, or in Heroes Unlimited power category. I have yet to find a definitive ruling on this, so if anyone out there can find one way or another as an official ruling, feel free to drop it down there in the comments. I'm happy to review it and have a look at just my ruling. Now, my group and I have generally accepted that the bonus is added to those skills because it indicates more of a strenuous studies or more studious nature. It really could go either way, but we opted to do it with the power category skills, take that educational bonus over. Now, 2 rules we definitely always ignore are the limitations on certain skill programs by education level and certain skills not being able to be selected by secondary skills. Typically, you can't choose military or espionage skill programs without a specific military skill background or military educational level. This didn't make sense to us, as many special forces operators have 4 years or better degrees. To say that because you had schooling, you can't have the exclusive military training, this never made any sense to us. And as for the secondary skill limitations, they make a bit more sense, but it's Palladium. We're just some power gamers when it comes right down to it, and it's Palladium, and we never mind player characters getting a little bit of a boost because the GMs I've always played Palladium with, or when I've run it myself, we don't see the bonuses being that detrimental to the challenges we're going to throw at the characters. Once the character skills have been selected, I put the Heroes Unlimited book down and reach for Mystic China. Remember, back during skill selection, I made sure I took the physical skill program, and I sacrificed 2 physical skills there so I could select a unique martial arts style for my character. Mystic China is a supplement for Ninjas and Superspies, so it follows the same rules, and I had a particular concept for this character that is cornerstone to using this book. I selected 18 weapons kung fu. Now, I don't want to brutalize the pronunciation, so I'll put the spelling up there on the screen. The benefits of the style include a number of attribute bonuses. Bonuses is structural damage capacity, SDC. Yes, we are in an SDC, not an MDC setting. weapon proficiencies, including paired weapon proficiencies, a new language and a philosophy skill, and a specialty kata. Remember I said we'd need that Ninjas and Superspies book again? Yep. The specialty katas are listed in there, and I chose the one mind kata for this character, which makes it so they can focus on a specific attack or an all-out defense for one round. Now that I have recorded all of the pertinent data for the unique martial arts, I go back to Heroes Unlimited and finalize the character's attributes, work out their skill percentages, fill in a bunch of blanks. Finally, I have Samuel Lorsong, aka Night Edge. I've included a link to the full write-up for Samuel in the description below, and you can check it out there. For a lot of TTRPGers, the process I just described is downright painful. I have played in games where the character can fit in to half a note card and takes less than 5 minutes to stat up. I have played in games like this where character creation can take an hour or two, and I played at varying levels between those two extremes. For Palladium, and I believe my familiarity with the system and knowing ahead of time of what I was doing with this character, this wasn't so bad. Probably took about 30 to 40 minutes. Mind you, I haven't done all the gear, background, etc., but it is a part of the game. I do have some friends who regularly play in a Rifts campaign, and they use ChatGPT to stat up characters very quickly. I haven't tried it because for me, the more complex character creation is part of the game and kind of its own little mini-game. Having gone through all of this, it brings several items to my mind. Why I love and why I hate the Palladium RPG system. First of all, look at this character. Right out of the gate, he's pretty well defined. He is an absolute badass with all forms of armed combat. Pretty much anything in this guy's hands, from knives to pistols to machine guns and laser rays to nunchucks and swords, and he's an expert. He also is quite physically capable with acrobatics, gymnastics, prowling, etc. And he's got the ability to make weaponry for himself or his team. In fact, one of the main concepts behind this character is that his vigilante persona has this sort of wrist bandolier that is filled with rods, kind of like eskrima or fighting sticks, some might call them. And they are bio-locked so that when he is holding them, he can click them into position to expand them into a sword, a staff, a bow, any ancient weapon really. These are of his own design. Palladium is a game system that allows me to create this hyper-competent, well-defined character right out of the gate. The only other games that come close for me are the point-based creation games like GURPS, Hero System, or Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition. However, all of those depend on how many points everyone is given to build those characters. The similarity is that everything is well defined. Other games like Fate or Prowlers and Paragons or Cortex might indicate that your character is hyper-competent, but the reality is that everything is more loosely defined. You can have a character that is merely a weapons expert, and it means whatever the table agrees it means. The downside of Palladium here is, I've now defined my character. There isn't much else they can do. Many of their skills are maxed out or close to it. They will get bonuses to combat from weapon proficiencies and the hand-to-hand combat martial art they took. But that's it. There is really no or very little advancement beyond this. They might get a couple of secondary new skills, but he will never get any additional abilities. He won't ever have the advantage of growing mechanically. He's locked into this forever. He doesn't get to multi-class, choose compounding feats, or otherwise change his path. You have selected this power category, or OCC, during character creation, and that's it. That's all you get until you guys are done playing. And this is true across their systems. A Veritech pilot will never become a Cyclone pilot, or a special operative when their ship is destroyed and they're trapped behind enemy lines in a new leg of the campaign. A superpowered character might have their powers expand to greater damage, ranges, or uses as they level. A magic or psychic character might get more powers as they level up. But it ends there, and from experience, good luck getting those lower level spellcasters to be useful or stay alive long enough to reap the benefits of your early choice. By the same token, occupational character classes in Palladium are narrowly defined. There's no swapping things around. You can't be a superpowered character who is also a mech pilot, not really. You can't make a Gestalt or multi-class character. Other than skill selection, there are very few options for you, and depending on what you select, that might be even more limiting. Now let's talk about further limitations of the Palladium character. If you are going rules as written, these characters can be very limited. This comes in two flavors, and the first we address is something that was addressed back in the Rifter issue 25. In that issue, a fan wrote in specifically about ninjas and super spies and the way soldiers were built in that game. particular fan has spent time in the military, and his gaming group included real-life Special Forces operators. The skills granted to the characters that were to represent the same in Palladium game fell far short on even the most basic requirements of those elite soldiers. Imagine a Navy SEAL without parachuting or scuba training. The problem carries over into the wide array of skills and how they are represented in the game that's now 30 to 40 years old. Computer operation includes the most basic of computer finesse, but few characters have it, where it should essentially be considered an everyman skill these days. And that failure to update when you're dealing with high-tech and super science is glaring. One idea is that you could play a game locked in some past time or an alternate universe that has not reached the level of technological advancement as the real world has. Another idea would be to add everyman skills to your campaigns, where a number of basic skills are granted to all characters from the modern world. Still, a third way to handle it could be to consider the basis that many games use only call for a roll during stressful times or for an exceedingly difficult task. So maybe everyone knows how to use a basic computer in your Palladium setting, but only the truly capable, those with the skill, can call upon it and make a roll in the midst of a firefight or to access a highly complex program. Still, I go back to the insanely cool characters I can build right out of the gate with Palladium. In other games I mentioned that might come close, there's a lot more homework. I have to figure out a lot of stuff myself. Here, Palladium provides a menu sort of selection, and while I'm not a super fan of Rifts and other settings, I cannot deny that they are creative and fun. I much prefer traipsing through my own homebrew worlds, but the various Palladium worlds are colorful and vibrant and full of rich history and endless possibilities. There are two more challenges I have in general with Palladium, challenges that keep me away most of the time, even though I kind of enjoy it. I guess Palladium is kind of my TTRPG guilty pleasure. The first is that the system combines two different base mechanics for gameplay. Combat is handled via traditional D20 rolls, the skills under percentile rolls. In reality, this isn't a problem mechanically. The two do not interact. However, for me, it just feels like I'm playing two different systems when I play a Palladium game. The last issue I have is another personal hangup. I imagine most people don't care so much about this one, but it means something to me. Years ago, Palladium and TSR had a bit of a legal tiff over some IP, intellectual property. TSR won, and since then, Palladium has done what it is supposed to do, expected to do, kind of required to do, legally. They have vigorously protected their IP. You won't find any mention of how to stat up a non-Palladium character on their forum or any media they hold sway over. You won't see third-party rules and publications out there. Okay, you'll find some, but Palladium works very hard to keep tight control on their worlds and their systems, and I do not fault them for that. It makes perfect sense to do so. However, in this hobby space, it is common to see homebrew rules, how to stat up characters in other systems, and all this sort of stuff. It is part of the hobby, and not really being able to do that under threat of cease and desist or takedown notices and more from the publisher, well, it makes me want to spend less time exploring and playing with the system. That is a me problem, not a Palladium problem. All that said, you'll probably see me do some more stuff with Palladium in the future, some characters and vehicles and setting stuff, but it'll be limited compared to other systems. I love it for what it does. I do not love it for what it doesn't do. What are your thoughts, opinions, and experiences with Palladium? Let me know in the comments below.